So hello and welcome to the Retirement and Money Show. So, are UK pensioners amongst the poorest in Europe? That's what I'm going to look at today. So I was recently looking at someone's retirement numbers with them. They'd worked for 40 years, paid national insurance the whole time, and they'd done everything right. But when we added up their income, they were barely scraping by on the state pension alone. So if you're worried that the state pension won't be enough for you, you're not imagining things. The UK, unfortunately, has one of the highest pension poverty rates in Western Europe. And the reality is, if you get this wrong, you could end up struggling in retirement despite decades of work. And that's especially the case if you're relying solely or majoritively on the state pension. So in this video, I'm going to show you exactly why I think UK pensioners are falling behind, and specifically why the state pension is falling behind. So I'm going to cover four key things. The first one is the shocking poverty statistics and how we compare to other countries. 2, what is protected in the UK system. 3, the massive gap that isn't protected. And 4, how to make sure that you don't become a statistic. So by the end, you'll understand exactly why the UK state pension leaves so many people short when they retire. You'll know what safety nets exist and where the gaps are, and hopefully you'll have a clear plan to protect your own retirement. So my name's Saki, and I've got over 25 years experience of helping people plan for their retirement. So let's start with the reality, what the numbers are, and unfortunately some of this might make you a little bit angry, and that is nearly 15% of UK pensioners live in poverty. That's actually one of the highest rates of any major Western European country. If you compare that to somewhere like France, where only 6% of pensioners are in poverty, Germany, well, they sit at 14%, and Spain at 13%. Unfortunately, and this is the reality, the UK is at the bottom of the pile. Now, here's what I think makes this actually worse. We're not talking about people who didn't work or they didn't save for their retirement. Many of these people did everything that they were told to do. They paid their national insurance for decades, and their expectation was that the system will look after them when they hit their state retirement age. So I guess the big question then is, well, what's going wrong? Well, the UK state pension pays around £12,000 a year for a single person, going up to £12,500 a year from April 2026. In France, the average pension is closer to £14,000, and in Spain, well, it's nearly £15,000. And Norway, well, over £22,000. So the UK simply isn't set up to pay more than these countries, and obviously, as you can see, it pays considerably less. But there's more to the story than just the headline numbers. So coming up, I'm going to show you what actually is protected in the UK system and where we do have some advantages over others. So the reality is that the UK system isn't all bad. I mean, there are some genuine protections built in that other countries don't have, and don't look like they will be having any time soon. So the big one is obviously the triple lock. So what this does is it guarantees that your state pension rises each year by the highest of 3 things. And these are either inflation, average earnings, or 2.5%. And as I said before, that's actually quite generous, I think, compared to most countries. What it does mean, though, is that your pension is keeping pace with the cost of living and not just inflation. So over time, this actually adds up to real money. And since the triple lock actually started, the state pension has grown much faster than prices, so it is growing quite quickly. There's also the pension credit, and that's for people on very low incomes. And what this does is it tops your income up to around £218 a week if you're single. So that's about £11,300 a year as a guaranteed minimum. So this who tends to benefit from this are people that don't have the full 35 years of national insurance in this history to be entitled to receive the full state pension. And also, there's something that people actually forget about the UK system, and I think this is one of the benefits of it. It's actually really, really simple. You don't need to work out complicated formulas based on your earnings history. As I said before, 35 years of national insurance gives you the full state pension. So the reality is that we have rising pensions and a safety net for the poorest. But if these protections exist, why are so many pensioners still struggling? So the answer lies, in my opinion, in what isn't protected, and that's what I'm going to cover next. So whilst there are some positives to the UK state pension system, there are some issues, and I think we need to just chat through them. So for me, there's one real problem with the UK pension system, and that is it's designed to give you a foundation state retirement income and not a full retirement income. So the reason why I say this is a problem is because some people have a false expectation that the state pension is all that they need to retire, when in reality it's just a part of it, hence the term. It's the foundation part of your retirement income. The technical term that's actually used in the pensions industry is replacement rate. And what the replacement rate does is it measures what percentage of your working income your pension replaces. Quite straightforward, really. So in the UK, the state pension alone replaces just 22% of average earnings. So that's actually the lowest in the developed world. So we put that into real terms. If you earn £30,000 a year before retirement, 22% gives you £6,600 in replacement income. So the full state pension is higher than that, but hopefully you can sort of see the principle. Because the system assumes that you're going to have other income on top of your state pension. However, if you compare that to France, where the state pension actually replaces 58% of earnings, or Italy, well, they're at 76%. And the OECD average across developed countries, well, they are 52%. And that's why UK pensioners struggle despite having a protected state pension. So this protection keeps the pension rising, but you've got to remember it started from a relatively low base. So you're protecting something that was never designed to be enough on its own. So out of interest, I'd love to know, were you aware that the UK replacement rates were this low? If you are, please do mention it in the comments below. But moving on, the good news is that there are ways to close this gap yourself, and that's exactly what I'm going to cover next. Nobody wants to become a retirement statistic. So here's what I think this could mean for your situation. So if you're relying solely on the state pension, I think the maths for retirement do not work for the very, very vast majority of people. That's why the UK system is designed as a two-tier approach. So tier one, well, that is the state pension, and that, as I said before, gives you your basic foundation income in retirement. And then there's tier two, and that is your workplace pension and your private saving, and they've got to fill the gap. So since auto-enrollment started back in 2012, 2013, this has improved dramatically, and more people are now building up a tier 2 pension income to sit on top of their state pension. And for the vast majority of people in retirement, this is actually where the bulk of their income is going to come from, and this is why it's really important to focus on this. So when you're adding workplace pensions to the state pension, the UK replacement rate jumps to around 42%. So that's still below the 52% OECD average, but it's getting closer. The key question, though, is whether your workplace contributions are enough to retire. So most people are enrolled at the minimum, which is 8% of qualifying earnings. So that's 5% from you and 3% from your employer. But for many people, that actually won't be enough to close the gap completely. So if you are able to receive more from your employer in pension contributions, and in my opinion and experience rather, most employers will offer more than the minimum, it's really advantageous for you to take advantage of that. So here's a rough guide I think you can think about. So if you want to replace 50% of your income in retirement, you obviously need to save more than the numbers I've just outlined there. The key thing is, though, the earlier you start, the less painful the extra contributions feel. So someone starting at 25 needs to save less each month than someone obviously starting at 45. And the difference between struggling and being comfortable often comes down to this one decision. You know, do you rely on the minimum, or do you actively plan for your retirement? That will dictate how much you need to save and how much you need to have in your pot for when you retire. So coming up, I'm going to share with you 5 action steps that can help you make sure that you're on the right side of this line. So here's what I recommend that you do next. Number 1, well, check your state pension forecasts. You can go to gov.uk and search for check your state pension. This will tell you exactly what you're going to get in state pension based on your current national insurance record. And if you have any gaps, you might be able to buy extra years to boost your entitlement. Number 2, well, review your workplace pension contributions. Log into your pension provider's website and check your current contribution rate, or alternatively contact your HR team and ask them what you are paying and whether you are able to receive any more from the employer. And if you're only paying the minimum 5%, and your employer isn't paying any more in, well, you might want to consider paying a bit more in yourself. So even 1 or 2% extra now will make a big difference in 20 years' time. Number 3, well, check if you qualify for any top-ups if you are already in state retirement. So pension credit is massively underclaimed, with over 1 million eligible people not getting it. So if your income is low, check the gov.uk calculator to see if you qualify. Number 4, understand your full retirement picture. So add up everything, your state pension forecast, your workplace pension, and any other savings, and work out exactly what income actually gives you what you need to retire on, and compare that to what you might expect. Now, we have got other videos on this channel that look at what level of income you do need to retire on to have a moderate and comfortable lifestyle in retirement, so I do recommend you have a look for them. So moving on, number 5, well, that is to get the help if you need it. So PensionWise offers free guidance sessions for anyone over the age of 50. So they're a government service, and you can book an appointment if you're unsure about what you can do with your options in retirement. So, out of interest, if you are at this stage of retirement, which of these steps are you likely to tackle first? Again, I'd be interested to know if you could leave a comment below. So if you do want some more information, you can visit our website, which is financialeducation.co.uk, where we have lots of content around pensions. And if you did find this video helpful, please do give it a like and do subscribe to our channel, where we have lots of other content related to retirement planning. Finally, good luck and goodbye.